Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the Islami Peace channel. North Korea, a land wrapped in silence, secrecy, and unbroken control. For more than half a century, it has remained one of the world's most closed societies. A place where every movement, every word, and even every thought is carefully molded by the state. Its borders are locked, its people isolated, and truth itself is defined by those in power. In this nation, faith is not merely restricted, it is redefined. The state ideology of Juche, introduced by Kim Il-sung, replaced belief in the divine with devotion to the ruling family. It teaches that human will and loyalty to the leader are the only forces that shape destiny. Within Juche, reverence for the Kim dynasty functions like a civil religion. Portraits of the leaders hang in every home, their names spoken with ritual respect. To the outside world, it appears as a paradox, an atheist state that demands a kind of worship more absolute than any religion. Officially, North Korea calls itself non-religious. There are no public churches, no temples, and certainly no mosques, except for a few tightly monitored sites built for display. Owning a sacred text, whether a Bible or a Qur'an, is considered an act of treason. For ordinary citizens, faith can mean imprisonment, torture, or worse. The regime's goal has long been to erase the sacred from daily life, absorbing all loyalty into the state itself. In this ideology, there is no God, only the leader. Unlike most parts of Asia, Islam never took root here. Before Korea's division after World War II, there were no Muslim communities in the northern half of the peninsula. Trade and cultural contact with the Islamic world passed mainly through China's coastlines, never reaching this mountainous land. For most of its modern history, the DPRK existed outside the global religious map, shaped instead by self-reliance and ideological uniformity. But history has its strange turns. In the late 1970s and 1980s, North Korea began seeking new diplomatic partners beyond its communist allies. It reached out to nations in the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, not out of spiritual curiosity, but political necessity. Pyongyang needed friends, trade, and technology. Iran, Libya, and Pakistan became key partners. Among them, Iran, fresh from its 1979 Islamic Revolution, formed the closest bond. Both countries saw themselves as revolutionary states standing against Western dominance. From this pragmatic alliance, Islam quietly entered North Korea, not through missionaries or migration, but through diplomacy. By the early 1980s and 1990s, Muslim diplomats, engineers and students from Iran, Pakistan, Syria, and Libya began arriving in Pyongyang. Their numbers were small, but their presence brought something unseen before: the sound of prayer in the heart of an officially godless nation. Within the private walls of foreign embassies, the Qur'an was recited softly, not heard by the public, yet marking the first time Islam had reached this land. Hidden within the Iranian embassy stands one of the rarest houses of worship on earth, a mosque that almost no citizen of North Korea will ever enter. It is called the Ar-Rahman Mosque, named after one of Allah's most beautiful attributes, the most merciful. Built sometime in the 1990s, it was not a symbol of tolerance, but an accommodation for Muslim diplomats who required a place for daily prayer. Small and modest, the mosque bears an Arabic inscription above its door and a simple dome that catches the morning light. Only a few dozen worshippers can fit inside. Access is strictly limited to Iranians and occasionally other Muslim visitors from allied embassies. No North Korean citizen may enter.
Yet under international law, this small space is considered foreign soil, a tiny island of Islam in a sea of atheism. The government does not acknowledge it publicly, but it allows its existence for practical reasons, to maintain relations with Muslim-majority nations that have long supported Pyongyang economically and politically. For the regime, it is not an act of faith, it is diplomacy. Photos of the Ar-Rahman Mosque are extremely rare. Those that exist show a quiet courtyard, gated gates, and a structure that seems frozen in stillness. To the world, it has become a symbol of contradiction, a testament to the fact that even in the most controlled society, faith can find a foothold. Inside North Korea, religious life is nearly invisible, yet traces of Islam persist within diplomatic circles. Foreign Muslims, diplomats, engineers, and teachers live under constant observation but continue to worship in private. Within their compounds, the 5 daily prayers are maintained. Ramadan is observed quietly, and Eid celebrations take place behind closed doors. There are no loud calls to prayer, no public sermons, only whispered devotion that endures through discipline and remembrance. For North Korean citizens, belief itself is forbidden. Article 68 of the Constitution criminalizes any religious activity not authorized by the state. Conversion, preaching, or even owning a religious book can lead to imprisonment or death. Still, reports from defectors and former students abroad suggest that a few North Koreans who studied in Muslim countries may have encountered Islam in places like Pakistan or Egypt and carried its memory home in silence. If any did embrace the faith, they would have to hide it completely, perhaps even from their own families. In such an environment, to believe in one God is an act of extraordinary courage. Faith becomes not just a spiritual choice, but a rebellion against absolute power. In North Korea, Islam survives not in public, but in the unseen space of conscience, a faith practiced in whispers, not in crowds. Juche, the state's guiding ideology, leaves no room for divinity beyond the leader. It demands total loyalty and elevates the Kim family to an almost sacred status. Portraits replace icons, slogans replace scripture, and worship is redirected from the creator to the regime. Under such a system, monotheism is the ultimate threat, for it challenges the idea that the state is supreme. The Constitution may promise freedom of religion, but that freedom exists only within the boundaries of state control. Any belief practiced outside those boundaries is labeled treasonous. For this reason, the Ar-Rahman Mosque remains a diplomatic anomaly rather than a religious institution. It symbolizes not tolerance, but strategic coexistence. North Korea's outward friendliness towards certain Muslim nations serves a political purpose. For decades, Pyongyang has declared support for Palestinian independence and aligned itself with nations opposing Western power. These gestures are not expressions of shared faith. They are tools of foreign policy, a means of surviving isolation. Even so, faith has a way of seeping through cracks in walls. Smuggled radio signals, foreign media, and brief exchanges with outsiders expose some North Koreans to ideas long hidden from them. Among them, the idea of a creator beyond the state. Defectors describe moments of quiet revelation, a whispered question, a forbidden book, a memory of prayer. For a few, Islam becomes not a religion of rituals, but a symbol of inner freedom, proof that there exists something higher than power. No public mosques stand in Pyongyang's skyline. There are no mu'adhins, no Qur'an study circles, no Friday gatherings. only the faint recitation of verses inside the embassy compound, a reminder that belief can never be erased completely. Each time a diplomat bows in prayer within the Ar-Rahman Mosque, that act alone defies the illusion of total control. For the regime, religion is a rival to obedience. To submit to God is to refuse full submission to the state. And yet, despite decades of indoctrination, the human spirit resists confinement. Even under threat of punishment, some hearts continue to wonder, to seek and to believe. The existence of that single mosque, small, guarded and hidden, captures this paradox perfectly. It stands as a
quiet witness that faith endures, even when it must exist behind walls. North Korea presents to the world a picture of unity and strength. Marching soldiers, giant parades, and citizens chanting in perfect rhythm. But beneath that orchestrated silence, somewhere within that vast crowd, there may still be a soul that remembers God. Islam's story here is not about growth or numbers. It is about survival. A faith that continues to breathe in the smallest, most secret spaces. In the end, the presence of Islam in North Korea is a reminder of something universal, that belief does not need recognition to exist. It endures because the human heart was created to seek the one who made it. And so, behind the closed borders and unbroken propaganda, the whisper of La ilaha illallah may still rise, unheard by millions, but never silenced before Allah. Thank you for watching until the end. May peace and guidance be with you all.